Shema Yashala Yahweh Allahayanawa Yahweh Chud. That's Hero Israel, the Lord. Our power is one Lord. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and are worthy of their double honors. Peace and blessing to you, Aki, and pushing out this truth across the four corners during these last 6 of time. And this lesson is going to be entitled Riches Profit Not, but Certainly Make Themselves Wings. Riches profit not, but certainly make themselves wings. Something along the lines of that. Lord willing, this message is edifying. And this is a post going into a recent update in the U.S. economy, all right, which says $100,000 salary in January 2020 has the same buying power as $124,353 in April 2025, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this statistic ultimately predicts a failing economy, because if a $100,000 salary 5 years ago is now pretty much having the buying power, which means pretty much that in order to get that same $100,000 salary in 2025, you would have to spend $124,353. Okay, so it's pretty much worth that in 2025, and this is not, all right, something positive. Okay, this is an actual decrease in the market, as it states the dollar lost 25% value in 5 years. So it going up to almost $125,000 from a $100,000 salary. All right, pretty much concludes to a 25% decrease in value in the last 5 years of the dollar. So this is Proverbs chapter 11. I start at 4. It says, riches profit not in the day of wrath. The scriptures in the book of James, the 5th chapter, say, howl ye rich men. The rich men are going into the wicked elites, okay? The international, national banking families, okay? Those are the families that pretty much control the earth's currency, all right? Control the banking system, those international banking families. Rothschilds, the DuPonts, the Gettys, Bilderbergs, on down to the least of them, okay? But now as the society, as the statistic reads, as the dollar has lost 25% value in the last 5 years, ultimately these rich men are howling, like it says in James, the 5th chapter. And it's going to ultimately lead to the riches of this society being corrupt, all right? Being destroyed, ultimately being put out, because true money, according to the scriptures, is gold, silver, cattle, land. That's true money, all right? This fiat currency, this paper dollar, all right, isn't realistic anyways, okay? It's fake, okay? And ultimately its purchasing power can be manipulated with. And ultimately, it's according to prophecy, the scriptures speak of a crashing from the hills, all right? This economic crash that's imminent, okay? The scriptures speak of the grinders ceasing, the laborers, because they be few. So it's ultimately leading to the society and the strength, which is the money, is failing. So it says, Proverbs 11 and 4, again, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivereth from death. Righteousness and what? Promoting the health and welfare of the scriptures. Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Isaiah 33 and 6 says, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time. Wisdom and knowledge tells us that you can not serve Yahweh Shem Yahushai and Mammoth. Mammoth goes into money. Scriptures also tell us that money is a defense. Also, it's written in a place where the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of money, you see? So, brothers have different walks in their daily bread to get it. But we're not putting this fiat currency, we're not putting this dollar first. Ultimately, we know that it's a crash. There's going to be a digital society that's ushered in, according to Revelation 13 and 16. And the charagma, all right, the MOTB is going to be forcefully implemented, all right? And the scriptures even speaks of this society being taken down due to inflation, because that's all this is. It's pretty much inflation. You have $100,000 salary in 2020, which pretty much now to get that same $100,000 salary, all right, you would have to spend $124,000 and $353. So that's the buying power that it has. Okay, pretty much going into a 25% decrease of the dollar. But what is that ultimately going to lead to? Higher prices. If the dollar's worth is less, the prices are going to be higher. All right, because they're going to try to balance it out with this inflation, these tariffs as well, man. All right, which is ultimately going to lead to a crashing from the hills like the scripture speaks of. All right, and I'm going to get that real quick. But first, I'm going to get Revelation 6, and I'll start at 6. It says, "And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny." And when you read this in the NLT, it says pretty much a loaf of bread for a full day's work, and that's what this penny is going into. All right, it's going into the Roman coin of that time. All right, I believe it goes into denarius, which is pretty much tenth of something. So pretty much, if you have something in this society that's worth $5, you're gonna go into the store in that day, okay, in these times, and that same item is gonna be worth 10 times that, which is 50. All right, or if something is worth $100, it's gonna be worth 1,000. So that's gonna drive the mindset and the morale of this place out the window, because people are used to going to stores and getting what they want so conveniently, all right, easily accessible. And when these prices become out of their reach, all right, their integrity is going to go with it. So I'm going to just finish it off. It says, "And 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and the wine," which is this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Okay, so let me get that penny. Okay, denarium. Denarian. It says denarius containing 10. It says a Roman silver coin in New Testament time. It took its name from it being equal to 10 asses, a number after 217 BC increased to 16. So it says it took its name from it being equal to 10 asses. All right, it says it was the principal silver coin of the Roman Empire. From the parable of the laborers in the vineyard, it was seen that a denarius was then the ordinary pay for a day's wage. So we're seeing that with the inflation in the society. $100,000 salary in January 2020 has the same buying power as $124,000, $353 in April 2025. All right. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the dollar lost 25% value in 5 years. And that's what we're seeing, a decline in the dollar, all right, and a crash of the system and the bringing in of another system, which is digital. Okay, it says Roman Empire, from the parable of the laborers in the vineyard, it would seem that a denarius was then the ordinary day, the ordinary pay for a day's wage. And it's going to say that. Let's read it in the NLT, Revelation 6 and 6 in the NLT. "And I heard a voice from among the 4 living beings say, a loaf of wheat bread or 3 loaves of barley will cost a day's pay." You see? So just imagine that Jake on average let's say Jake make $15 an hour. So you work 8 hours a day. That's $105 or round about $105, something like that. 15, 30, 45, 60, 75, 90, 105, 120. So if you work 15 hours and so like your $15 an hour at 8 hours, you'll be getting around $120 a day. So just imagine you go into a local supermarket in these times, and a loaf of bread is $120 for a loaf of bread. These are the times that Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, all right, through John the Revelator, okay, spoke of these things which will be happening right now in 2025, the hopeful year of our deliverance and the destruction and judgment of Esau, Edom. All right, this is very realistic, especially for these times. The decrease of the power of the dollar, this inflation, all right, that's taking place, and ultimately the crashing from the hills, as the scripture speaks of, a stock market crash. Okay, this is Zephaniah 1:10. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day, and this day, said the Lord Yahweh, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and an howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hill. And the fish gate is where commerce and the marketplace is. All right, it's going into this stock market and this economy crashing. Okay, scriptures say the keepers of the house shall tremble. When you go into the word economy, it goes into housekeeping, the keepers of the house. That's talking about these top economics. All right, these wicked elites, national banking families. Okay, and their plan ultimately for NWO, which is to crash this system, bring in a digital dollar, and implement a new world order. So it says, and a great crash from the hills, and that's going into the stock market. All right, and it's an all-out attack on this economy. It's an attack on the labor force. It's an attack on these corporate America. Okay, it's an attack on this banking system. Okay, but what is it going to lead to? The scriptures say the money fell in Egypt. Okay, let me get that too. Ecclesiastes 12:3. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and that's going into the economy. These top economists, and they're reporting about the pitfalls of America and in this economy, and its soon to be demise. All right, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grind is ceased, because they are few, which are the workers. The labor force is ceasing, it's halting. Nobody can get a job anymore. People are complaining about their jobs. They're not content. They're not happy. Haggai 1:6 says, "He that earneth wages earneth it put it into a bag with holes." So that's the reality of it, and everybody's waking up to it. And it's going to be major revoltings. Okay, strikes, uproars. It says, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. You see, hard times, dark times are coming for the society. The scriptures say, how ye rich men, the labors that you have kept back by fraud, cried on to the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth, which is the Lord of heaven's armies, which is going to deal with this place, man. All right, because the money is failing here, just like it did in ancient Egypt. This is Genesis 47:15. And when the money failed in the land of Egypt, and we know that the Lord said he would bring us to Egypt again with ships. He said that he would smite Egypt with plagues as before. So that's talking about a spiritual Egypt. It tells us in Revelation that the dead bodies shall lay in the street of that city which is spiritually Sodom and Egypt. So this is future is going to come back on America, in which it is now. The money's failing here. It says, and when the money failed in the land of Egypt and in the land of Canaan, all the Egyptians came unto Joseph and said, give us bread, for why should we die in thy presence, for the money faileth? And that's showing you ultimately what's the true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. What's the true money? It comes from the men of the Lord. The men of the Lord are the treasure, all right, on the earth. Because the Lord ultimately had this pillar set up in our forefather Joseph to be dealing with the true money of the scriptures. Gold, silver, land, cattle. Okay, it says, for why should I die in thy presence, for the money faileth? And Joseph said, give your cattle, you see, give your real money, because that's real money. Okay, that's real substance. It says, and I will give you for your cattle if money fail. And they brought their cattle unto Joseph, and Joseph gave them bread in exchange for horses, and for the flocks, and for the cattle of the herds, and for the asses. And he fed them with bread for all their cattle for that year. So Joseph was exchanging with them properly, getting true money, horses, asses, cattle, things that you can use in farming and agriculture to ultimately produce more. Okay, a system of righteousness. That's how the Lord set up through his men, and that's what's going to be set up on the earth again. All right, the Lord is setting up his pillars, the apostles on down to the least of us. Lord willing, not be at that number. All right, to be that true treasure on the earth, man. When the money faileth in this society, with that wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Okay, girding us up. Okay. So Lord willing, this message is edifying. I'm going to give infinite honors and praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Harachak Wadash. Double honors to my teachers, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Until next time, Kwam Yashala, Mighty Shalom.